guess I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a Formula One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
When you don't know.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, Just Do Boxing. Mike Mazik, Mike Rim, Define Irony One. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Box Historian. Today, the life and career of the Black Mamba, Uncle Roger Mayweather. The Black Mamba, Uncle Roger. As the family today, we're right at the end of another big week of boxing history. We're going to look at Roger Mayweather today, and we're going to have a bonus profile. We're also going to look at Floyd Mayweather Sr. today, okay? But let's get into the highlights of boxing history because I'm late. Now, it wasn't me yesterday. It was StreamYard wouldn't let me on. But the highlights of boxing history today, we're going through all the divisions and name the top 10 of all time. Today is going to be the light heavyweight division. Okay? Top 10 all time of the light heavyweight. So let's get into the highlights of boxing history for today. Now, bear with me today. Got like 6 topics I'm going to cover, but I didn't get a chance to set any of them up. So we're going to have to do it as we go, because I just walked in the door like 10 minutes to 2. Okay, but we're going to get it in. Okay, we're going to get the top 12 light heavyweights of all time to start the show off today for the highlights of boxing history. There's 3 of those 4 on the screen are 3 of the great light heavyweights. That from left to right, that's Ezzard Charles, Harold Johnson, Archie Moore, and of course the great heavyweight champion, Joe Louis. Pearl Sir in the building. What's up, Pearl? Pearl said Uncle Roger is one of his favorites, so I figured I would see Pearl today. Salute, Pearl. How are you today? Let's get into these top 10 light heavyweights of all time. First, we're going through all the divisions. We've done heavyweight, cruiserweight, now we're down to light heavyweight. And of course, you're going to see some fighters will be in a couple of different categories. Like we had Evander Holyfield at heavyweight and cruiserweight. Okay. So yeah, you're going to see some of that. Some of these guys are going to be in more than one division. Bear with me. I was late, very late, but let's go. We're ready. Okay. Top 12 all-time light heavyweight. Let's look at light heavyweight real quick. Okay. Now, the light heavyweight class has produced some of boxing's greatest champions. Bernard Hopkins, who upon becoming champion at light heavyweight, broke the record for the oldest man to win a world title in any division. Tommy Loughran, Billy Conn, Joey Maxim, Archie Moore, Michael Moorer, Bob Foster, Ann Wolfe, Michael Spinks, Darius Michaelzewski, Roy Jones Jr., Joe Kawasaki, Sergey Kovalev, and Zsolt Erdei, just some of the great light heavyweights. Now, many light heavyweight champions unsuccessfully challenged for the heavyweight crown until Michael Spinks became the first reigning light heavyweight champion and to win the heavyweight championship. Okay, now Bob Fitzsimmons captured the light heavyweight championship after losing his heavyweight championship. Now, 2 all-time great heavyweight champions, Ezzard Charles and Floyd Patterson, came from light heavyweight. Okay, Ezzard Charles defeated Archie Moore and Joey Maxim several times in non-title fights at light heavyweight before becoming heavyweight champion. And Floyd Patterson lost an 8-round decision to Joey Maxim before he became heavyweight champion himself. Now, Evander Holyfield successfully moved up from the light heavyweight division to the cruiserweight division and eventually the heavyweight division and became undisputed champion. He was undisputed at cruiserweight and heavyweight. Okay, so let's look at these 12 guys now. Okay, top 12 light heavyweights of all time for the highlights of boxing history today. Appreciate everybody stopping by so far. 1,000%. Okay, first, John Henry Lewis. Okay, John Henry Lewis is the first. Number was actually 12. I had supposed to be 10, but I couldn't know. Two I couldn't leave out, so I made it 12. Top 12 for light heavyweight division. You might get a couple divisions like that where you just can't leave a certain fighter out. So we ended up with 12. John Henry Lewis Okay, stay with me for one moment. I told you I usually have my topics and stuff set in here, but today I was very late. And like I told you, it wasn't me yesterday. It was StreamYard that wouldn't let me in. Now, number 12, John Henry Lewis. Now, John Henry Lewis was a Hall of Fame professional boxer who held the world light heavyweight boxing title from 1935 to 1938. And the Ring magazine named Lewis the 16th greatest light heavyweight of all time. His trainer was Larry. Bear with me. Okay. His trainer was Larry Amadei, and his managers included Ernie Lira, Larry White, Frank Schuler, and Gus Greenlee. Okay. And John Henry had a career record of 99 wins, 11 losses, 5 draws. And he boasts wins over such greats as Bob Olin, Tiger Jack Fox, James Braddock, and Maxie Rosenblum. What was that? Amber alert. Okay. Amber alert. And it just messed my chat up. There we go. Okay. Coming in at number 11, Harold Johnson. That was him up there with Archie and Ezra. Oh, there's Harold. Harold Johnson. Talking about some of the great light heavyweights of all time. I'm going to go on and shorten this up because, we're late. This is going to be real brief. Harold Johnson. He was an excellent technician with a solid punch. Johnson scored wins over Archie Moore, Jimmy Bivens, Doug Jones, Eddie Macon, and Ezra Charles. Number 10. I had a little bit more write-up on these guys, but I must just shorten it up. We're going to get to the Black Mamba. Number 10, Jimmy Bivens. Jimmy Bivens had wins over a long list of great 175-pounders, including Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, Joey Maxim, and Lloyd Marshall, one of the famed murderous gold fighters, as well as some other elite heavyweights. Okay, Jimmy also fought at heavyweight. Coming in at number 9 on the greatest light heavyweights of all time, Tommy Gibbons, one of the Gibbons brothers. Brother Mike. I think Mike was like a welterweight, I think. Tommy Gibbons. Tommy was a clever boxer who knew all the tricks. He bested a wealth of great talent, including the great Harry Grant, Kid Norfolk, Billy Misk, Georges Carpenter, and Batlin Levinsky. He battled Jack Dempsey, the heavyweight, in 1923 in the famous fight that bankrupted the town of Shelby, Montana. Yeah, we went over this before. Remember, the town outbidded everybody for the fight, but when it came time to pay off everybody, they didn't have enough money in the town and they went bankrupt. The fight bankrupted the town. That's crazy. He wanted that fight so bad they overbid it for it. The great, coming in at number 8, the great Bob Foster. Bob Foster, one of the most powerful of light heavyweights with knockouts over the great Dick Tiger, Mike Quarry, one of the Quarry brothers. It was 3 of them. Chris Finnegan and Vicente Rondon. Bob Foster had 14 world title defenses, 14 successful world title defenses. Number 7, the man that had Joe Louis beat and then all of a sudden wanted to stand toe-to-toe with him and got knocked out. Outboxed him for 12 rounds. Billy Conn, remember that one? Outboxed the Brown Bomber for 12 rounds, didn't change his strategy and wanted to slug it out and got stopped. That would have changed history. That was right in the middle of those 25 straight title defenses, that 12-year reign. None of that would have happened. Louis would have been beat in the mid-40s. I think it was right after he came back from the war. Billy Conn, number 7. When Billy was at the top of his game, few could match him for ring smarts. He defeated young Corbett III, Fred Apostoli, Gus Lesnovich, Fritzy Zivik, Bob Pastor, and Lisa Vold in one of the greatest of all heavyweight fights. came very close to dethroning a prime Joe Louis. Came very close. Close, but no cigar. Close only counts in horseshoes and something else. But it don't count in boxing, Billy. Number 6, Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks. Not only did Spinks become the first light heavyweight champion to win the heavyweight crown when he defeated Larry Holmes in 1985, he also excelled in a particularly strong 175-pound division, beating the likes of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Yaki Lopez, Dwight Muhammad Qawi, Marvin Johnson, and Eddie Davis. The 80s was one of the best periods for light heavyweight. Top 5 light heavyweights of all time. At number 5, Tommy Loughran. Tommy Loughran. Unquestionably, one of the most cerebral of ring technicians. They call him the Philly Phantom. And he defeated a long list of excellent fighters, including the great Harry Greb, Mickey Walker, the toy bulldog Mickey Walker, Young Stribling, Jeff Smith, Arturo Goldov, King Levinsky, and Georges Carpenter. At number 4, Gene Tunney. Gene had 2 wins over the great Jack Dempsey at heavyweight. Gene Tunney. The Fighting Marine. He was actually in the Marines. The Fighting Marine never won the world crown, not at light heavyweight. He did get it at heavyweight. But that didn't stop him from establishing himself as the best light heavyweight in the world while scoring wins over fellow greats, Tommy Gibbons, Harry Greb, Jeff Smith, and Georges Carpenter, before moving up to heavyweight to defeat the legendary Jack Dempsey. Yeah, him and Harry Greb had a great series. Number 3, the old mongoose. Well, the mongoose / old mongoose, Archie Moore. He fought so long they had started calling him the old mongoose, right? Archie Moore. Now, no one questions the greatness of the old mongoose, only where his name should be slotted on the list like this. Now, with the second most knockouts in boxing history, 132. Another guy has 139. And wins over Holman Williams, Jimmy Bivens, Lloyd Marshall, all 3 murderous gold fighters, Bobo Alston, Eddie Cotton, Joey Maxim, and Harold Johnson. Archie Moore is forever an all-time great in any division, of all divisions. Number 2, the greatest fighter to never win a major title, the Boston Terrier, Sam Langford. The Boston Terrier may have fewer all-time great light heavyweights on his record, but for much of his legendary career, he fought as a light heavyweight. His weight in the vicinity of 175 pounds. The roster of great fighters Lightfoot bested, it's the Amber Alert again, is amazingly long, despite the fact so many avoided him. One of the most avoided fighters of all time. The astonishing list of names includes Sam McVeigh, Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, Harry Wills, Joe Gans, Kid Norfolk, Jack Blackburn, Gunboat Smith, he beat old Gunboat, Big Bill Tate, Stanley Ketchum, the Michigan Wolverine, and Joe Jeanette. Yeah, they had some great nicknames back then. One of my favorites, Gunboat Smith, and Sam beat old Gunboat. And number 1, y'all already know who number 1 is. You should, as much as I talk about him. We're talking about great light heavyweights. I think we talked about him yesterday, but real briefly today. Number 1, there he is, Ezzard Charles. Actually never a champion at light heavyweight, but still thought of as the greatest light heavyweight, Ezzard Charles. Every time the Amber Alert comes on, it knocks my chat off. Ezzard Charles. Competing at the same time as fellow great Archie Moore, Charles had wins over Charles Burley, Joey Maxim, Lloyd Marshall, Gus Lesnovich, and Jimmy Bivens. That's part of why he tops this list. The other part is the fact he holds 3 wins over the old mongoose himself, Archie Moore, which established the Cincinnati Cobra as the finest of his time at 175, before he went on to assault the heavyweight, defeated both Joe Louis and Jersey Joe Walcott. and then gave Marciano one of the toughest battles of his career, and Ezra defended that light heavyweight crown 8 successful times. Okay, now let's talk about the life and career of the Black Mamba, Roger Mayweather, brother of Floyd Mayweather Sr., nephew, uncle of Floyd Mayweather Jr. Come on, man. Time they cut the grass, they come right by the window, right at 2 o'clock. It's all good though, you know. I kind of screamed on them last Wednesday. I'm gonna do that no more. They just doing their job, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into the. I'm gonna tell you how he got that nickname and everything. He gave it himself. You know, sometimes you get your nicknames from other people, but Roger gave himself that. I even got the phone turned down, but the Amber Alert still overrides that. You know? Yeah. Come on, Roger. Right up there. There we go. Okay, the life and career of the Black Mamba, Roger Mayweather. How's everybody this Wednesday afternoon? We got Hitchens and Cambosa. I said they was battling at the press conference yesterday. I didn't see it. I think one of George Cambosa's people hit somebody with a microphone or something. So I guess at the weigh-in today, they probably kept them separated, no face off and all that stuff. I meant to watch that, but I was out and about. Let's get into Roger. Okay? Here we go. Something I didn't do, but I can't think of what it is. It comes to me. Okay. Now, Roger L. Mayweather. He was an American professional boxer. And Roger competed from 1981 to 1999. Had an 18-year career, and Roger was busy. He had like 70-something fights. And later on, he was a boxing trainer. Roger was a 2-division world champion. Actually, 4 divisions, but 2 of those divisions were minor titles like the IBO. He had major titles in 2 divisions. So 2-division world champion, having held the WBA and the ring super featherweight titles from 1983 to 1984. And Roger had the WBC junior welterweight title from 1987 to 1989. Now, additionally, like I said, he had the IBO minor junior welterweight title in 1994 and had the IBO welterweight title from 1994 to 1995. So if you count the minor titles, he's a 4-division champion. 2 divisions when you're talking about the major, okay? You know, WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, 2 divisions. Okay, now let's look at some numbers on Roger. Now Roger, like I said, he fought in 4 divisions. Super featherweight 130, lightweight 135, junior welterweight 140, and welterweight 147. Now Roger was 5'7.5" tall. He had a reach of 73.5 inches, and he fought in the orthodox stance. Now he had 72 total fights in his pro career. He won 59, lost 13, and he had 35 by the knockout route. Okay, 35 knockouts for Roger. Now, Roger served as a trainer for his nephew, Floyd Mayweather Jr., from 2000 to 2012. Under Roger's guidance, Floyd Jr. became one of the biggest names in the sport of boxing and one of the pound-for-pound greats, all-time pound-for-pound greats, okay? Now, I told you Roger not that long. We're going to do a Floyd Mayweather Sr. today, too, okay? Get a bonus profile. So let's get into Roger's professional career then, okay? Pro career for Roger Mayweather. So super featherweight, started at super featherweight 130, super featherweight and lightweight, okay? Now, Roger, he was 64 wins, 4 losses as an amateur. He made his pro debut on July 29th, 1981 against Andrew Ruiz. Roger won by TKO in the first round. In his 13th fight, Roger beat Ruben Munoz Jr. for the IBF ISBA lightweight title. He didn't stay that long at super featherweight. By his 13th fight, he had moved up to lightweight, 135. Now, after improving his record to 14-0, Roger earned the title shot on January 19, 1983, against lineal and WBA super featherweight champion Samuel Serrano. Now, Serrano entered the fight with a record of 47 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Samuel was a vet when Roger challenged him for that title. And Samuel had lost only once since first winning the title in 1976, right? And this was 83. He had only lost once in the last 7 years when Roger went up against him. Nonetheless, Roger led on all 3 judges' scorecards before he beat Serrano by TKO in round 8 and effectively ended Serrano's career. You know, that was Serrano's last fight when he lost to Roger. Now, Roger made 2 successful title defenses against Jorge Alvarado and Benedicto Villablanca. Okay. Before suffering his first loss, a first-round knockout against Rocky Lockridge on February 22nd, 1984. Okay, that was his first loss. And then Roger won the IBF USBA super featherweight title when he gave Kenny Bazemore his first loss by TKO in the 3rd round. Thus, Roger earned the opportunity to fight against WBC super featherweight champion, the great Julio Cesar Chavez, JCC. Roger fought JCC on July 7th, 1985. And although Roger won the first round on the judges' scorecards, he was knocked down twice in the 2nd round and lost by TKO. Yeah, JCC didn't play around with Roger. Get him out of there early. Okay? So, after the loss to JCC, on November 28th, 1986, Roger beat Sammy Fuentes for the WBC Continental Americas lightweight title. In his next fight, on March 28th, 1987, Roger fought against Pernell Whitaker, Sweet Pea, for the WBC North American Boxing Federation lightweight title. Roger was knocked down in round 1, but he knocked Sweet Pea down in the 9th round, and Sweet Pea won by unanimous decision over Roger. Okay, got Roger. He won by Sweet Pea won that one, unanimous decision. So, junior welterweight. Okay, like I told you, fought in 4 weight classes, from super featherweight to welterweight, 130 to 147. Now, junior welterweight, 140 for Roger. Okay. After Roger moved up to the junior welterweight division, he fought against WBC junior welterweight champion Rene Arredondo. This was on November 12, 1987. Excuse me. Now, Roger led on the scorecards and knocked Arredondo down 3 times in round 6. And Roger was awarded a TKO. Okay, after he knocked him down 3 times in the 6th round, and the referee stepped in and stopped it. Roger got a TKO over Arredondo. Roger made 4 successful title defenses before he encountered Mexican champion Julio Cesar Chavez on May 3rd, 1989. Now, prior to this fight, Roger was being called by several boxing writers as the Mexican assassin due to his numerous wins over Mexican fighters during the last few years. And at this time, JCC was still undefeated at the time with a 63-0 record. And he was becoming a legend, you know. Now, Mayweather retired after round 10 due to the body damage inflicted by JCC. Yeah, 10th round TKO. So Roger won the WBA Americas lightweight title on April 5th, 1990 from Ildemar Payson. He fought Rafael Pinata for the vacant IBF junior welterweight title on December 7th, 1991, but he lost by knockout in the 9th round. Okay? On March 14th, 1993, Roger beat former WBA lightweight champion Livingstone Bramble by corner stoppage in round 5. Bramble had defeated Ray Boom Boom Mancini twice for the title in the mid-1980s. Yeah, I saw those fights. I mean, Boom Boom, yeah. To the bigger name lightweights. Two of the bigger name lightweights from that era. Livingstone Bramble and Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Yeah. Now, Roger defeated Eduardo Montez for the IBO light welterweight title by third round knockout on May 28th, 1994. Less than 3 weeks later, he defeated Marco Antonio Ramirez by TKO in round 3. Nobody was fighting like that at that time. They used to do that all the time back earlier decades, but Roger had 2 fights in less than 3 weeks. Wow. Okay, so then he went to welterweight. His 4th and final division, welterweight, for the Black Mamba. Okay, Uncle Roger, welterweight. Now, in his next fight, after Eduardo Montez was his last fight at junior welterweight. In his next fight against Johnny Bizarro, on August 4th, 1994, Roger won the IBO welterweight title by unanimous decision, and he defended that belt once in 1995. So on June 25th, 1995, Roger fought the 14-0 Kostya Tszyu, okay, for the IBF junior welterweight title, and Kostya won by unanimous decision over Roger. Roger won his last title, which was the IBA welterweight title, on March 12, 1997, when he beat Carlos Miranda by 12th round TKO. Roger's final fight was a majority decision win over Javier Francisco Mendez on May 8, 1999. He ended his career with a total of 9 major and minor titles in 4 weight classes, right? 4-weight world champion, but junior welterweight and welterweight were the IBO or minor title. He was a 2 division with the major belts, okay? Now let's see, how did he get that nickname, the Black Mamba? Let's check into that. How did Roger get that nickname, the Black Mamba? Okay. So, when he was asked about his ring nickname, Roger stated, now this is Roger talking. Roger said, "It's funny because I wanted a boxing nickname that wouldn't be common to most people. Now, one day when I was flipping through channels on the TV, I came upon this channel showing different reptiles. And they were showing the Black Mamba, one of the most deadly snakes in the world. And I loved the way the Mamba attacked so quietly, but when he hit you, he just hit you one time and the venom was in you. That reminded me of myself right there." So he started calling himself that. The Black Mamba. That's how he got it. He saw the Black Mamba snake on TV, and he liked how it just hit you one time, and that was it. He said that reminded him of himself, and that's what he started calling himself, the Black Mamba. Let's look at Roger's training career, because we know Roger was a brilliant trainer, right? Training career. Now, when Floyd Mayweather Jr. turned pro in 1996, Roger Mayweather turned his attention away from his own competitive boxing career and focused more on being his nephew's trainer. Roger trained Floyd Jr. until early 1998, when Floyd Mayweather Sr. was released from prison and became Mayweather Jr.'s trainer. However, soon after Floyd defeated Gregorio Vargas on March 18, 2000, Floyd fired his father as his trainer and brought Uncle Roger back, right? Yeah, he fired, I remember when that happened. He fired Floyd Sr. and brought Roger back. Now, Roger originally became his trainer because Floyd Sr. was in prison at the time. But as soon as Floyd Sr. was released, he took over. But he eventually fired Floyd Sr. Now, Roger Mayweather garnered national attention during and after Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Zab Judah on April 8, 2006. Near the conclusion of the 10th round, Zab hit Floyd with a left hand that was clearly below the belt. and followed up with a right-handed rabbit punch. Because after Floyd went down, when he got hit low, Zab hit him in the back of the head. And many rounds ago, Roger had told Floyd, watch, that MF gonna start fighting dirty, and Roger called it. Zab did exactly what Roger said he was gonna do. So he hit Floyd low, and then when Floyd went down, Zab hit him with a rabbit punch. After referee Richard Steele called time with 5 seconds remaining in the round, Roger hopped into the ring, but was restrained by Richard Steele. So Zab's trainer and father, Yoel Judah, entered the ring and swung at Roger. Zab then went after Roger, taking a swing and grappling with him until security broke it up and cleared the ring. Roger was ejected, but they did finish the final couple of rounds. I think it was like 2 rounds left, right? Final 2 rounds. Yeah, that was the 10th. And Floyd won by unanimous decision. Now, 5 days after the fight, the Nevada State Athletic Commission decided not to overturn the result of the fight, but Roger Mayweather was fined $200,000 and suspended for 1 year. And Don King, who was Zab's promoter, made a good point. Floyd should have been disqualified because Roger entered the ring during the round, right? So technically, Floyd should have been disqualified. They had a loss on his record right there, but they declined to do it because so much else happened. But Roger was the first one in the ring, and your seconds are not allowed in the ring during the round unless they coming in to throw the towel in and stop the fight. Roger was coming in there to fight, so yeah, Floyd should have been disqualified. Don King made that point, but they didn't do it, and they declined to overturn the result. Okay, and Roger was fined $200,000, and he was suspended for a year. With some other suspensions too and fines: Zab, Joel Judah, Leonard Ellaby, all of them. Floyd was the only one that didn't do nothing because Floyd was over by the ropes in pain. Floyd couldn't do nothing because Zab put him south of the border, squarely south of the border, so Floyd couldn't do anything. He was over there by the ropes, doubled up in pain. But Roger had a controversy. Let's talk about his controversy with this young lady that he used to train. Let's talk about that. There she is. Okay. That's the best example. I found some other good ones, but they was I didn't want to show them. They look like they belong in Playboy magazine or something. Those other pictures. And I erased them, Miss Cass. I don't have them secretly in my phone. Okay. But controversy. Now, Roger was arrested in August 2009 in Las Vegas for allegedly attacking one of his former boxers, which was a female boxer, Melissa St. Ville. Roger allegedly hit her several times in the ribs. Then he tried to choke her, causing her to spit up blood when police arrived. Now, appearing on the HBO series 24/7, Roger admitted to choking her, right, in an effort to restrain her, but he denied that he physically struck her. Okay, and I think it was some kind of settlement made, out of court or something. Roger paid something. Somebody in the Mayweather team paid something because he admitted that he choked her. He said he didn't strike her, but damn, he choked her. He must have admitted he didn't strike her because he admitted to choking her, and that's just as bad as striking her. So, but yeah, he probably paid some kind of settlement, after some kind of way. Personal life for Roger. Okay. Roger was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the son of Bernice and Eartha Mayweather. He's a part of the Mayweather boxing family. His brothers are Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Jeff Mayweather, and his nephew is Floyd Mayweather Jr. And then Roger's death. Okay, left us too early. The Black Mamba did. Okay. Roger died on March 17th, 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada at the age of 58. Okay. After years of deteriorating health, Roger was sick for a while. Now, Floyd Jr., his nephew, opened up about Roger's health back in 2015 and thinks that boxing is the main cause of it. Now, Floyd did not specify the cause, but said his uncle's health was failing him for several years, right? Roger had a number of long-term health problems, including diabetes. Floyd said, "My Uncle Roger has lost a lot of memory from the sport of boxing. He's only in his 50s, but he seems like he's an old man in his 80s. And there you have it, the life and career of the Black Mamba, Roger Mayweather. Now, I told you it was short. We're going to do Floyd Sr. today, too. Remember, we already did Floyd Jr. That was long. That took 2 days, remember? Floyd Sr.'s profile. Yeah, let's look at, Floyd Jr.'s profile. Let's look at Floyd Sr. We got some other stuff. We're going to touch on the Floyd Manny Oscar. We're going to look at that deeply. Floyd Manny and Oscar fights. You know, some things about them, about those 3 fights. Okay, Floyd Mayweather Sr. Okay. Get that going. All right. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Floyd Mayweather Sr. Get a bonus profile today. This Sr., the older brother of Roger and Jeff, father of Floyd Jr. He had a solid boxing career. Fought Sugar Ray Leonard. Had trained his son. Trained Oscar for a while too, remember? He said he thought Oscar won the fight with Floyd. Said that in the ring after the fight. I think he was talking to Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant interviewed Floyd Sr. after that too. And Floyd Sr. said he thought Oscar won it. Yeah. Floyd Sr. was fooled by that windmilling Oscar was doing in the ropes too. But that was the closest I thought Floyd came to losing was the Oscar fight. Not Castile or Madonna. I thought it was Oscar. But Floyd Mayweather Sr. Okay. Okay. Now, Floyd Joy Mayweather Sr., right? He was a former American boxer and trainer, former pro boxer and trainer. And Floyd Sr. competed from 1973 to 1990, 17-year career, okay? Fighting at welterweight during the 1970s and 1980s. Floyd Sr. was known for his defensive abilities and overall knowledge of boxing strategy. He's the father and former trainer of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and also father to Justin Mayweather, an American boxer residing in Las Vegas. Okay? Now, Floyd Sr. only fought at one weight. He fought at welterweight his entire career, the entire 17 years. Now, he was 5'8" inches tall. And he fought in the orthodox stance, okay? And he had a total of 35 fights. Didn't fight as much as Roger did. He won 28, lost 6, had 18 knockouts, had 1 draw, 18 knockouts, okay? He had a little short, well, not short career, but this is short, okay? Floyd Sr. Let's look at it. Now, Floyd Sr.'s boxing record was 28 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, 18 by knockout. And he won 1 contest during the United States Championship tournament in 1977 as an amateur against Miguel Barrito. He broke his hand and was knocked out in a fight against Sugar Ray Leonard in 1978. 4 months later, he was shot in the leg in a family dispute, which virtually ended his career. Okay, trainer. Let's look at him as a trainer. Let's give us this little short thing. Floyd Sr. as a trainer. Now, as a trainer, he preaches defense and a stiff jab. He taught many of his boxers a defensive technique known as the shoulder roll, in which the fighter uses his front shoulder to deflect blows and limit their impact. He has, on many occasions, including HBO's Mayweather Hatton 24/7, claimed to be Floyd Mayweather's, claimed to be on, yeah, wait a minute. He has on many occasions, including HBO's Mayweather Hatton 24/7, claimed to be the greatest dog of all time. We move on. Now, Floyd Mayweather Sr. taught Mayweather Jr. to punch when he was still a toddler in Grand Rapids, Michigan. His training was disrupted by a 5.5-year prison sentence on a drug dealing conviction, and he returned to training his son 14 fights into his professional career. He had a public falling out with his son in 2000, and his brother Roger took over training Mayweather Jr. Okay? Now, Floyd Sr. is the former trainer of top light heavyweight Chad Dawson, former 2-division champion Joan Guzman, and women's champion Layla Ali. He is well known for his stint as Oscar De La Hoya's trainer from 2001 to 2006. I did not know he trained Oscar that long, 5 years. He said he would train Oscar for his May 5th, 2007 fight against his son, but demanded a $2 million fee to do so. After considerable deliberation, Oscar opted not to hire Mayweather Sr. and announced on January 30th, 2007, he would use Freddie Roach instead. Okay? So Oscar had Freddie Roach for that fight. Now, the snub briefly reunited father and son, with Floyd Sr. turning up at the Mayweather Jr. boxing gym, while Roger, who had been banned from boxing, who had been banned from being in the corner at boxing matches for 12 months, was starting a riot during Floyd Jr.'s fight against Zab Judah on April 8, 2006, when he attacked Judah, served 6 months in jail for domestic assault. But when Roger was released, the situation became awkward because of the brothers' rivalry. Okay? Now, Floyd Jr. chose Roger as his trainer, and Floyd Sr. left again, claiming that the father-son relationship was back to square one for choosing Roger over his own father again. Now, Floyd Sr. agreed to once again train Oscar in anticipation for Mayweather Jr., but Oscar, represented by Golden Boy Promotions, right? However, due to disagreements with how revenues would be divided amongst the two fighters, the fight was canceled. Yeah, that would have been two, because he never had it. Now, Floyd Sr. trained Manchester's Ricky Hatton for 7 weeks prior to his fight against Paulie Malignaggi on November 22nd, 2008 at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Okay, he trained Ricky Hatton for a while too. Okay. Now, a pros March 2010 fight between Floyd Jr. and Manny Pacquiao fell by the wayside in January 2010, when the camps representing both fighters could not agree on a timeline for drug testing for the fight. The Mayweathers had suggested that Manny Pacquiao was aided by performance-enhancing drugs. Pacquiao filed a defamation suit against him that was eventually settled in 2012. Floyd Sr. trained UFC fighter BJ Penn for 2 weeks. In May 2013, for the first time in 13 years, Floyd Jr. announced that Floyd Sr. would return as his trainer against Robert Guerrero. Now, while some speculated this was because of the bloody nose Jr. got in an otherwise dominant performance against Miguel Cotto, a change to the more defensive-minded Floyd Sr. over the offensive-minded Roger was seen as logical. The Floyd Jr. cited his Uncle Roger's health issues, diabetes, and poor vision as rationale for the change. Now, Sr. has remained the trainer ever since and trained Floyd to victory in the fight over Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, he was the trainer for the rest of his career after that. Okay, now let's look at the personal life. Floyd Sr. personal life. Floyd Sr. suffers from the lung disease, sarcoidosis. His younger brother, Roger, was WBC super featherweight and super lightweight champion, and the youngest brother, Jeff, held the IBO super featherweight title. And there you have it, Floyd Mayweather Sr. Okay, now let's talk about that Floyd Manny Oscar situation between those three. Okay, how about some things we have never talked about before in covering that? Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Let's get into that. How's everybody today? It's Friday. We got the Richardson Hitchens and George Kambosos. They were saying things got heated. I think it was yesterday at the final presser, I believe. Yeah, things got a little heated in there. Somebody got hit with a microphone or something like that. I didn't see it. I just heard bits and pieces of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, did Oscar actually beat Floyd Mayweather in their fight? Where'd y'all at? Let's discuss it. Okay. Told you I usually have my topics set in where I just go straight to them, but I was late today. I didn't get them in, but it's only going to take a minute. We're going to talk about Oscar and Manny. You know how they Manny went up 2 weight classes to fight Oscar at welterweight. Oscar came down one. Manny had never actually fought over lightweight when he fought Oscar. Mm-hmm. And only one time. Only had one fight at lightweight before that fight. Went all the way up to welterweight to fight Oscar and beat him. Mm-hmm. But that Oscar was, that wasn't prime Oscar. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about that situation right now. Manny, Floyd, Oscar, all that. Okay? Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Take the chat out. Anybody come in? Let me see. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm missing all kinds of stuff. Wow. Yeah. The OG, the Black Mamba. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rocky Lockridge. Mm-hmm. So Floyd was also extremely smart. He never did let things like that cost him a win, right? You should do a Mayweather boxing tree. Would be interesting. Okay, that's a good idea, Pearl. So gonna come up on a Wednesday. We used to take shows on Wednesday. Shows was always shows out of the chat. So yeah, write that down. Mayweather boxing tree. Mm-hmm. Probably be next Wednesday. Mayweather boxing tree. Thank you, Pearl, sir. Yeah, Wednesday was always any shows come out of the chat. It's on Wednesdays. He said, I thought no doubt he beat Oscar. He lost to Castile. Okay. Yeah, won, right? Pearl. Castile won. Okay. Yeah. Now, this thing is kind of dark. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Okay. We're going to talk about Floyd, Manny, Oscar. The round robin or fights between them. I hate being late. I used to have all of this done way before the show starts, but it's still only 3:07. That's not the one. Okay, yeah. Now, Oscar was fighting at 154 when he went up against Floyd. But he was at the end of his career, right? He was 4 years older than Floyd, and he had not taken anywhere near as good of his body as Floyd did his, right? Now, Oscar was clearly done because after Floyd, he fought the number 629 middleweight of all time and couldn't stop him. And anyone who looked at that fight and still call Oscar elite, like the Black Mama would say, don't know shit about boxing. Okay. Now, let's talk about Oscar and Manny. Okay. Now they agreed to compromise on the weight class they was going to fight in. Now, like I was saying, Manny was at lightweight at that time, and he came up 2 weight classes to welterweight to fight Oscar. And Oscar came down from junior middleweight to face Manny, right? And Manny started at junior flyweight, 108, okay? And through the years, he had got up to lightweight. But when he went up to welterweight to fight Oscar, Manny had never fought above lightweight before. And guess what? He only actually had 1 fight at lightweight at that time. So he went up 2 weight classes. Now, Oscar started at lightweight. But through the years, he had got up to junior middleweight. And when he fought Manny, Oscar actually had 2 fights at 160 middleweight. Okay, so definitely had a good size advantage over Manny. Oscar was had a 4.5-inch height advantage over Manny and a 6-inch reach advantage, right? Now, in order to convince Manny to take the fight, Oscar offered to move down to welterweight, right? And Manny had to move up 2 weight classes from lightweight. And I told you, Manny had only had 1 fight at lightweight and never fought above it at that time, right? When he fought Oscar. So let's look at that fight. Now, the insides made no difference. Speed and power did. The faster fighter, which was Manny, consistently beat the bigger fighter, which was Oscar, to the punch from the opening bell, connecting with left leads. And the first 4 rounds were all Manny, with Oscar staging a bit of a comeback in the 5th round with 1 good exchange. But Manny again took command in the 6th round and battered Oscar all over the ring. And in the 7th round, Oscar's left eye was swelling closed. It was even worse in the 8th round. And that's when Oscar's corner stopped the fight after the 8th round. They made it through the 8th round, and then Oscar's corner stopped it after that. And Oscar admitted he was done, right? And that was his last fight. Oscar retired after the Pacquiao fight. Now, Oscar and Pearl Sir says, okay, Koto was your favorite. Yeah, that was a good one too. Yeah, I like that one too, Pearl. And Pearl says, in Fishnet's defense, Manny drained him down to Skeletor status. Yeah, well, but Manny went up too. Well, I guess it's easier to go up than come down, I guess, right? Because Manny had never fought above lightweight at that time. And he only had 1 fight at lightweight. But yeah, he went up to the welterweight. Yeah, and Oscar did drain himself because he actually had 2 fights at 160. He was fighting at junior middleweight at the time when he came down to fight Manny, but he actually been up to middleweight twice. Remember, he fought B-Hop at middleweight, remember? So yeah, somebody else, I can't remember who else it was. Al Booger in the building. What's up, Al Booger? How you doing today? Yeah, I'm working. I'll change Al Booger. Instead of t-shirts, it's going to be a hat. I think a hat will be better for the members. Yeah, we're going to do hats. But I'm working on it. And by the time I get the order in there, it's probably be a couple weeks. I found a place that does that right around like 5 minutes from where I live. I never even knew it was there. Go past it every day. Miss Cass pointed it out to me. Right up the street. You know, that designs, hats, t-shirts, that type of stuff that I'm looking for. Right up the street. So yeah, and then a hat, I won't need a size. I'm gonna get the kind where, you know, in the back, all, 1 size fits all. So yeah, right on. Not today, but soon, Albert. I'm gonna give you put my email in there, or something. You can email me your address if that's not too much trouble. Because yeah, you're gonna all members gonna get a hat. I'm gonna give Mr. Hot Grease one too because he was a member, and then when I got demonetized, through no fault of his own, you know, the members dropped off, and I haven't seen him since. So I see him in Jay's chat, so I'm gonna try to get his information and send him one too because he was a member. And you know, when you get demonetized, members, all that stuff just drop off. But yeah, probably be a black hat with the Cass Sports logo on the front. This on the front. Okay? Yeah. So yeah, Albert, I'll be hollering at you soon. Okay, well, let's continue. But salute, Albert. Good to see you today. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, Floyd Manning. Mayweather versus De La Hoya. Now, signs of Oscar's aging and decline have been present against Floyd, which was 2 fights before Oscar met Manning. Okay. Now, Mayweather leading into the fight with Oscar. Floyd fought for 21 years as a pro, with 7 years at lightweight or super featherweight. 14 fights winning at lightweight, 17 at featherweight. I mean 7. Wait. 7 at super featherweight during those years. He fought 1 year as a junior welterweight and 13 years at welterweight or super welterweight. Welterweight, 47 or 54. Now, Floyd fought from November of 1995 to August of 2017. He started his career at 130. 131, technically as a lightweight, where he fought his first fights. He began fighting as a super featherweight at 130 against Jerry Cooper in January of 1997. But his first, second, fourth, fifth, 6th, 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 25th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st fights. Mayweather weighed in over 130 and fought at lightweight. Yeah, his first fight was 131, so technically that's lightweight. But he did go back and compete at junior lightweight. Now, in his 32nd fight, he fought as a junior welterweight. And he fought as a junior welterweight his 33rd and 34th fights before stepping up for good to welterweight against Sean Mitchell in November of 2005. And from his 35th fight on, from 2005 till he retired in 2017, he fought as a welterweight or super welterweight. Of his 50 fights, 17 were at super featherweight, right? 1/3 of his fights during a time he fought weighing. Well, forget that, man. That's too many numbers, right? Now, when he met Oscar, he was in his true prime, 29 years of age. He was at the height of his career and as good as he would get, ever, right? Now, Oscar was 34, 4 years older than Floyd. As Johnny Walker says so well, at that time, Johnny Walker says Oscar was done. Too many long nights, too much partying, and age had greatly diminished Oscar by the time he fought Floyd, right? Now, the size differential between the two men was not as marked as with Pacquiao. He wasn't that much bigger than Floyd than he was Manning, okay? Yeah, Manning still had to execute. You're right, Sparrow, sir. But Floyd was 2 inches shorter than Oscar, right? But the reach was nearly equal, okay? Now, although the fight was close, Floyd clearly grew stronger as the fight went on. He landed nearly twice the punches, though most were of the pity pat type, right? Now, Oscar was clearly the aggressor, but it just wasn't enough, right? And a lot of people say Oscar should have retired after that fight, but he went on and he fought Manny 2 fights after Floyd. Okay, now we didn't finish the other day when we were doing the 40s. We had a trilogy we was going to talk. We was talking about fighters not named Sugar Ray Robinson or Joe Louis. We had this big trilogy we was going to talk about. It was Rocky Graciano and Tony Zale. So let's touch on that now, okay? We're going to look at these 2 fighters first, and then we're going to talk about that trilogy. Rocky Graciano and Tony Zale, okay? Because we did that Wednesday, and then I didn't get on yesterday, okay? Yeah, Rocky Graciano versus Tony Zale. One of the top trilogies of all time. I mean, right up there with Ali Frazier, Ward Gotti, Barrera, and Damn, I can't think of the other guy, the other Mexican fighter he fought. I was just talking about it the other day when I did Barrera's when I did his the brightness. Oh, no wonder. The brightness is way down, man. I knew something was wrong. There we go. That's it. I got it there. Yeah, somebody put it in there. Barrera and what was the other Mexican guy's name, man? It was Barrera, Pacquiao, not Marquez. Damn, I don't know why I can't think of that. That's crazy. They actually became good friends after their careers were over. I don't know why I can't think of it. Who was it, somebody? But let's talk about this trilogy between Rocky Graciano, not Marciano, Rocky Graciano, right? And Tony Zale. Isn't that something? Rocky Graciano, Rocky Marciano. Oh. Both of Italian descent. Eric Morales. Thank you, Cruz. I don't know why I couldn't think of Eric, man. That's Eric is a household name when it comes to boxing fans. Wow. You know, you get a brain lock sometimes. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, Eric Morales. Damn. Bit of a box. Yeah, let me get this in there. Yeah, I was late. I didn't have nothing set up. Yeah. Eric. Yeah, this trilogy was right up there with those, man. This was a great trilogy. Okay, let me take my time. I'm rushing. This is good too. We're going to talk a little bit about Rocky Graciano and Tony Zale, and then we're going to look at their trilogy. Okay. I'm spelling everything wrong. I'm still here. Rocky Graciano. And you know, Rocky Graciano was with him and Jake LaMotta both turned out to be great middleweight champions. They were actually in a juvenile detention center together as youngsters. That's where they met at, in a juvenile detention center. And then some coincidence, they both grew up to be great professional middleweight Hall of Famers and met in a juvenile detention facility when they were teenagers. That's crazy, ain't it? Yeah. Jake was in there first, and then Rocky showed up. There we go. Let's talk about Rocky Graciano first. Then we're going to get to Tony Zale, and then we're going to cover their trilogy. I think, time permitting. Okay. Okay, there's Rocky Graciano right there. Yeah, that's Rocky. Let's get to it. Now, how good of a boxer was middleweight Rocky Graciano? Was it just power, or did he have real boxing skills? Now, nobody wins the middleweight title back in Rocky Graciano's era without some boxing skills, right? But when you say some boxing skills, of course, it's not top level. Now, Rocky Graciano generally won on meanness, relentlessness, aggression, and power, right? He's a Hall of Fame undisputed middleweight champion. Not only is he in the Hall of Fame, he's one of only 29 undisputed middleweight champions. He was born Thomas Rocco Barbella on New Year's Day, 1919. New Year's, baby. Wow. He's another poor and very troubled kid who made good in the sweet science. Born to immigrants, Ida Scinto and Nicola Barbella Graciano in Brooklyn, New York, Rocky moved as a small child to Little Italy, and that's where he grew up at, Little Italy. Now, growing up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, Graciano stayed in trouble as a kid and spent much of his youth in reform school. For one thing, Rocky was a thief, stealing anything that began with, in his words, the letter A. A piece of fruit, a radio, a car, anything that wasn't nailed down. He said anything began with A, he would steal it. Now, during a brief stay at the Coxsackie Correctional Facility, Graciano made friends with future champion Jake LaMotta. And that's something they met in a reform school and both grew up to be Hall of Fame champions. Wow, boxing. Yeah. Now, in 1942, the troubled Graciano was drafted during World War II, right? But almost immediately, he went AWOL, absent without leave. That's when you take off. In the military, you just walk away. He went AWOL almost immediately after punching a captain, an officer, in the face. Now, despite changing his name to avoid capture, he was caught. And then he was sentenced to 9 months in the federal military penitentiary at Leavenworth, Kansas. So after spending much of his youth in reform school, he grew up and ended up in the big boys prison. And he was dishonorably discharged from military service, right? But later he got pardoned. Now, his amateur career. Now, his father had some fights as a youngster, Rocky's father did, and he put gloves on Rocky at a very young age. He was a gifted amateur, but he only had 4 amateur fights in a brief amateur career. And he went to New York, AAU Amateur Metropolitan Welterweight Championship as a youngster, right? And he was later inspired to say he got a medal in that tournament, and guess what he did? He pawned it for $15, right? And said, this boxing can't be too bad a racket. Because that medal he won in the tournament, he made some money off of it, he pawned it. So that's what really sold him on boxing. He said, this can't be too bad of a racket, right? So, but he disliked training, right? He had no discipline at all, and he was not inclined to pursue boxing further. But he did, and he ended up turning pro, right? This is what happened. While he was on the run from the army, he took up pro boxing to make a living. And he finally discovered his niche in life, boxing. He was a vicious brawler with power, right? He was Jake LaMotta, but with power. Now, Rocky was suspended twice as a pro. Once in 1946 for failing to show up for a fight, right? He just didn't show up. And he failed to report a bribe. 46, he failed to report a bribe, and in 48, he failed to show up for the fight. It was scheduled and everything, and Rocky just said, hell with it, I don't feel like fighting today. And didn't go. And got suspended for that, right? So, 5 years after turning pro, Rocky got the chance to fight Navy veteran Tony Zale. They were both veterans. And while losing their first fight by knockout, he won the rematch and the middleweight title, which he held for less than a year. He lost the rubber match to Zale, right? 11 months after the second fight. And the Zale Graciano series is among boxing's greatest trilogies, man. And Rocky never regained the title after losing to Zale, though he had a second title shot against Sugar Ray Robinson, right? Which he lost. And in 1952, he ended his career with a record of 67 wins, 10 losses, 6 draws, with 52 knockouts. Okay? Rocky Graciano. Okay, now let's look at Tony Zale, the Man of Steel, and then we're gonna look at their trilogy. They call Tony the Man of Steel. Where's Tony Zale at? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I told you I used to have all this set right. I just hit one button, bing, and it pops right in. But I got in the house at 10 minutes to 2 today. So I got to do it now. It's gonna take about a second. I got this one guy that leaves on here. I steals all his stuff. I hope he don't never watch my show one day. He might sue me. He might be like, damn. I ain't gonna tell you all his name. Y'all might know him. If you ever watch my show, I'm getting sued because I steals all his stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, then we're gonna cover him. This only takes 5 minutes for the Man of Steel, and then we're gonna talk about their trilogy. Great trilogy. Please come on. Hey. I hope this is it. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Zell real quick, okay? Now, they call Tony Zell the Man of Steel. Okay. I was trying to work on not saying okay too much. Okay. There's Tony Zell, the Man of Steel. Okay. I did that on purpose. Now, Tony Zell was born Anthony Florian Zaleski on May 29th, 1913. He was born and raised in Gary, Indiana. Gary back then was a steel mill town. That's why he was called the Man of Steel, which accounts as part, for his nickname, Man of Steel. Now, he was the child of Polish immigrants. He was working in the steel mills when he took up boxing. Now, he began working in the steel mill in his teens, and around age 20, took up amateur boxing for sport. Now, Zell was good enough as an amateur to represent Chicago in the 1934 Inner City Golden Gloves at light heavyweight. He lost to future world light heavyweight champion Melio Bettina, and these two guys were just polar opposites, right? In 1934, after the Inner City Golden Gloves, the steel worker turned pro, and his life was never the same. Now, unlike modern fighters, he was not booked to avoid talented and experienced boxers. With only 9 fights, the undefeated Zell was put in with a guy who had 79 fights, Billy Hood, and he suffered his first loss, right? Now, undeterred, his manager put him in with other good experienced fighters, such as Mickey Misko, and Zell suffered another loss. In 1938, he was only 26 wins, 12 losses, 1 draw, because he was fighting a lot of veteran fighters early in his career, right? They didn't pad his record. And so he was 1938, 28 wins, 12 losses, 1 draw, put in the ring with tough, very seasoned 47-8, Billy Celebrin. Zell suffered a draw, right, and a defeat in the rematch. And it looked as though he might be doomed just to be a journeyman at best. Then came his 1940 decision defeat of contender Al Harstack. Harstack had 51 wins, 2 losses, 8 draws. That's when he had his big break, and the tide had begun to turn for Zell. A good showing, though he lost against top fighter Billy Seuss, and defeat of former middleweight world champion Fred Apostoli put Zell in line for a title shot at that point, okay? So that put him in line for a title shot. In May of 1941, in the rematch, Zell knocked out Harstack to claim the NBA World Middleweight title. NBA was the precursor to the WBA. Now, a year later, in November of 1941, in a unification fight, he defeated George Abrams in a fierce battle that saw Zell knocked down in the first round, but he got up to dominate the remainder of the fight and become undisputed world middleweight champion. Now, he didn't defend his title for 5 years. He went into the Army, right? Went into the Navy for World War II, right? And his last fight was a war-born title fight with Billy Conn, non-title fight. And Billy Conn came in 10 pounds heavier than Zell and took a decision from him. Like I said, him and Rocky was polar opposite, even down to the point one went in the Navy, one went in the Army, okay? Now, after World War II, he came back from World War II and resumed boxing in 1946. He took 6 easy warm-up fights, which were non-title clashes, before meeting contender Rocky Graciano. Now let's go to their trilogy. I'm gonna stop right there. We're gonna talk about their trilogy between these two now. We were supposed to do this when we talked about fighters the other day, not named Joe Louis or Sugar Ray Robinson, but we ran out of time, remember? Oh yeah, I wanted to get this one in. They had a trilogy. There they are right there. That's Rocky Graciano on the right, Tony Zell on the left. Okay. Now this one jumped right in there because I had put this in there the other day. Right? It was still in there. Love it. Okay. Now Zell and Graciano, one of boxing's greatest trilogies. Okay. Now, real quick, Rocky again. What is going on, man? What is that on my damn screen? Don't you hate it when they put commercials and stuff on you? Oh my goodness. I hit the wrong thing. Now it's showing me the damn commercial. Wegman, supermarket. Okay. Then, Rocky grew up in a tough slum district in New York City, known as Alphabet City, right? Lower East Side of Manhattan. He ended up going to reform school, remember? And Tony Zell was born and grew up in the Midwest Steeltown of Gary, Indiana, in a middle-class family. I told you they were polar opposite. Tony and his brothers were involved. Rocky grew up dirt poor. Tony grew up in a middle-class family. Rocky went in the Army. Tony went in the Navy. Rocky was dishonorably discharged after going AWOL. Tony was honorably discharged, had a distinguished military career in the Navy. Now, Tony and his brothers were involved in amateur boxing when he graduated from high school. And he worked in the steel mills as a day job to support himself while compiling an amateur record of 87 wins, 8 losses. See, Rocky Graciano had 4 amateur fights. Tony Zell had 95. They're polar opposites, right? Not wanting to spend the rest of his life laboring in the steel mills, Tony Zell turned pro in 1934. Now, Zell and Graciano were not only from completely different backgrounds. Zell was 9 years older than Graciano and turned pro 8 years earlier than Rocky. It was in 1945 that Rocky Graciano made a name for himself, having fought 6 fights that year, winning each fight by knockout or TKO. All but 2 fights lasting 4 rounds or less. Now, Tony Zell had just returned home from World War II, resuming his ring career in 1946. Zell fought 6 fights that year. From January to May, he won all the fights by knockout, and none of the fights lasted more than 5 rounds. Okay? Now, the 3-fight war between Zell and Graciano started in 1946. Zell held the title when he was challenged by Graciano for the first time in New York. The 2 Hall of Fame fighters met in front of a crowd of 39,000 at Yankee Stadium on September 27, 1946. It was the first fight in what would go down in boxing history as the best 3-fight battle of the century. Actually, the first fight of the 3 was considered by Ring's International Ratings panel as one of the 4 greatest fights of all time. The Graciano was at the height of his career at the time, with 32 knockouts to his credit. He was ready to add 1 more knockout to his record. Instead, Rocky suffered the first knockout loss of his 83-fight pro career. Zell knocked Rocky down in the first round. In the 3rd round, Graciano sent Zell through the ropes. Now, Zell recovered quickly from the knockdown. Now, later, on the verge of defeat and ready to collapse, Zell managed to drop Graciano once with a body shot. Then Zell caught Graciano with a left hook, again dropping him in the 6th round. This time, Rocky stayed down for the count, and Zell retained the middleweight crown. So Zell took the first fight of the trilogy, okay? 6-round stoppage. Some people said that was a fixed fight too because Rocky had Zell on the verge of stoppage, and all of a sudden Zell landed that 1 punch and just turned the entire fight around. So Zell takes the first fight. Several years later, Graciano and Zell made an appearance on a TV talk show to discuss the fight. Upon viewing a tape of the 6th round, Graciano recalled, "After that body shot that knocked me down, I was out on my feet. The referee should have stopped the fight right then. I didn't even know where I was." It was also noted by ringside observers of the fight Zell was so battered from the punches of Graciano by the end of the fifth, he mistook his opponent's corner for his own. Fans yelled for referee Rudy Goldstein to stop the fight, but the veteran official allowed the fight to continue. And they was yelling them to stop it in Graciano's favor, but Goldstein let it go on, and Zell ended up winning. Okay, next round. Now the fight was a classic, one of the most brutal in ring history, and a rematch was tentatively scheduled for Madison Square Garden. Now, because of a problem with the district attorney in New York over a supposed bribe in which Graciano was implicated for a tune-up fight with a journeyman fighter, the New York fight with Zell was called off, right? So a grand jury later tossed out the allegations due to lack of evidence. Then the New York State Athletic Commission pulled Graciano's license to fight in New York. Just the same. The grand jury threw it out, but the New York State Athletic Commission still pulled Graciano's license. So a rematch was held a year later, July 16th, 1947, in Chicago, at Chicago Stadium, where a new paid admissions record was set for an indoor fight, right? $422,000, $422,918. Now, the spectators in Chicago were treated to one of the greatest middleweight championship fights ever fought. Rocky Graciano won the middleweight championship belt by a 6-round TKO over Tony Zell. It was said the two fighters ripped each other apart, with the referee stopping the fight in the 6th round, same time the last fight ended, when Graciano landed a barrage of punches to Zell as he went down against the ropes. Now, Rocky later wrote in his book, "This was no boxing match, it was a war. And if there wasn't a referee, one of the two of us would have been killed." That's why they had referees, Rocky. Okay, now Rocky Graciano held the middleweight belt for a year. Then they had the rubber match. The rubber match was held in Newark, New Jersey on June 10th, 1948. Okay, Zell knocked Graciano out in 3 rounds to reclaim the title. Highlights of the fight proved it to be as vicious as the first 2 fights. Yeah, that was really something, those fights. Now, in all 3 fights, the 3 fights showcase the 2 great fighters' styles and abilities. And what Graciano lacked as a clever boxer, he more than made up for it with his punching power and ability to absorb a tremendous amount of punishment while waiting for his chance for the knockout shot. Okay? Now, Graciano's punching power was exemplified in his record of 52 knockouts in 83 fights. Now, Tony Zell went on to fight once more in his Hall of Fame career that spanned from 1934 to 1948. Graciano went on fighting until 1952, though he never again was in a war like the 3 fought with Tony Zell, and never was champion again either. Okay? After retirement, he turned to a very successful career in television and the movies, right? Somebody Up There Likes Me was a movie about his rise to fame in the boxing ring, right? And it earned Rocky more than $250,000. Now, both men were inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1991. Yeah, that was one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Rocky Graciano and Tony Zell. Yeah. And since we're talking about trilogy, what trilogy was better? Was it Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, or Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield? Let's talk about that real quick. We don't have much time left, so let's do that real quick. Which trilogy? And then that'll take us on out. I got a great show Monday. Monday is going to be we got 3 fighters that fought in 1 weight division the entire career, except for the last one fought 2 fights at others. We got Marvin Hagler for his entire career at middleweight, Aaron Pryor for his entire career at junior welterweight, and Joe Calzaghe for his entire career at super middleweight, except for his last 2 fights were at light heavyweight. Okay, So those three fighters are going to be the show Monday. It's going to be a great show. It's titled One Division Dominance: Hagler, Pryor, and Kawasaki. Now Kawasaki fought at light heavyweight, but he didn't dominate because you can't dominate no division in no 2 fights. So one division dominance: Hagler at middleweight, Pryor at junior welterweight, and Kawasaki at super middleweight. That's going to be the show Monday. One division dominance: Hagler, Pryor, Kawasaki. Don't miss it. It's going to be good. That's coming up Monday. Okay, on Cat Sports, the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. It's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. It's the Box Story. Bring you all that boxing history. Right? Yeah, let's do that real quick. Which trilogy was better? What y'all think? Which one was better? Ali Frazier or Holyfield Bowe? Where'd y'all ask though? I'm gonna tell you what I think. What me and my guy, whose stuff I still think. I ain't joking. I hope this guy don't ever watch my show because he gonna help me. I'm gonna get sued. He gonna be like, damn. He could have changed something. No, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Ali Frazier. I ain't gonna tell y'all his name because y'all might know him. And go snitch on him. I'm sure he don't mind. He wouldn't mind though. Ought to be glad for the recognition. Now, which one was better, Ali Frazier or Holyfield Bowe? Okay. Now, it's really kind of subjective. It really depends on which one did you enjoy more. But as to which one was the better as ranked by experts or more impactful historically, of course, there's absolutely no doubt it is Ali versus Frazier, right? No doubt. Now, Riddick Bowe versus Holyfield is one of the most important trilogies in heavyweight history. It landed both men in the Hall of Fame. Now, if you prefer that to any other heavyweight trilogy, you are certainly entitled to do so. But experts, most fans, and all boxing historians, each and every one, consider Ali versus Frazier the better fights, especially the Thriller in Manila. And it certainly is by far the most historically important trilogy of all time, at any rate. And Ali Frazier also cemented both men's places in the Hall of Fame in boxing history. As Emmanuel Stewart, Hall of Fame trainer, said in summarizing the Ali Frazier trilogy, those 3 fights cemented both Ali and Frazier's legacies. Okay? They certainly did. Those 3 fights cemented their legacies, man. But now, Bowe versus Holyfield is one of boxing's great trilogies. But it is not ranked as high or as good as Ali Frazier. Now, ESPN ranked Ali Frazier as best trilogy in boxing history, saying number 1. Okay? ESPN ranked Bowe Holyfield as the 8th greatest trilogy in boxing history. Bleacher Report ranked Ali versus Frazier as the greatest trilogy in sports history. Okay? And the same ranking had Bowe Holyfield 3rd. The Zone ranked Ali Frazier as the best trilogy of any weight, and Holyfield Bowe 3rd. Boxing News also lists Ali Frazier as the best trilogy in boxing history. Bowe versus Holyfield is ranked at number 10. Okay? See the pattern? But Boxing News does rank Bowe Holyfield in its ranking of best heavyweight trilogies, ranking it 3rd of all time. Ali versus Frazier, of course, is still number 1. Now, the Ali Frazier trilogy is considered the best ever by the man who trained both Bo and Frazier in both trilogies. Knew who that was? Eddie Futch. Okay? Eddie Futch trained Bo in the Holyfield trilogy and Frazier in the Ali trilogy. And Eddie Futch says Ali Frazier's number one. Eddie Futch was Riddick Bowe's trainer for his Holyfield trilogy, and Frazier's for the one with Ali, right? And he said those three fights were the best heavyweight fights of all time, right? Riddick Bowe's own trainer is not alone in that belief. Ali vs. Frazier is the only trilogy between two of the 10 universally accepted top 10 of all time. Only trilogy of all the trilogies in boxing history. It's the only one between two top universally recognized top 10 fighters, okay? Ali and Frazier, the only one. Look at all the other trilogies. None of them. One of them might be top 10, but not both of them, okay? That says a lot right there. Now, Frazier versus Ali 1 was rightly called the fight of the century. It was the second one, though, because Jack Johnson and James J. Jeffries 1 was the first fight of the century, okay? Now, Ali met Frazier the first time in the first fight in history where two undisputed heavyweight champions met for supremacy. And they both had a rightful claim to it because Ali was never beaten in the ring for that title. It was stripped of him, right? And Joe Frazier won it in the ring. So they both had legitimate claims to it, right? Repeat, Ali never lost it in the ring. He was stripped. Joe Frazier won it in the ring, okay? So they both had legitimate claims. Now, the collision on March 8th, 1971 was between two undefeated all-time great fighters with widely differing styles. Frazier was the ultimate catch and kill swarmer, Ali the master outboxer who was adapting to his changing body, right? Now, Ali had been back for 133 days before he met world champion Joe Frazier, right? His suspension he had been back 133 days back in the ring. Now, styles always makes fights. And on March 8th, 1971, Joe Frazier imposed his style on Ali and won a clear decision in what was a close fight up until Frazier knocked Ali down with a murderous, monstrous left hook in the 15th round. That's the biggest left hook in history, too, when he dropped Muhammad in round 15. Okay? I don't have it. Okay? Now, Ali dominated the first 3 rounds, managing to use his jab to catch the shorter Frazier with lightning-fast, stinging punches. They raised welts on the champion's face, but Frazier came on in the 4th, right? Catching Ali with left hooks and pinning him against the ropes and beginning his signature body attack, okay? Now, the fight was even until the last seconds of round 11, when Frazier caught Ali with a massive left hook that sent Ali stumbling onto the ropes, which kept him on his feet. The ropes held him up that time. Now, Ali managed to finish the round and fought well over the next 3 rounds. Nonetheless, by the end of round 14, Frazier held a slight lead on the 3 scorecards. Early in round 15, Frazier landed what he later called the best left hook of my life, which floored Ali for only the 3rd time in his career. And their first one in the 11th round would have floored Ali, but the ropes saved him. The ropes held him up, which could have been called a knockdown, you know. Now, somehow, despite his jaw being horribly swollen, Ali managed to get up and kept fighting to the end of the round and the fight. Frazier retained the title with a unanimous decision, dealing Ali his first professional loss. In retrospect, Angelo Dundee, Ali's trainer, said that him and Ali had made 2 crucial mistakes that cost him his first loss. Number 1, Dundee said, Ali rushed to the fight He only had 6 months to get back in fighting shape with 2 warm-ups before facing an all-time great. Okay, number one, Dundee said Ali took the fight too fast. Okay, he should have waited a while. Dundee said we should have taken twice that long and twice that many warm-ups, said Dundee. So Dundee said he should have waited about a year. So number one mistake they made, they took the fight too soon. Number two, miscalculation, according to Dundee. We underestimated Joe Frazier and who and how much he wanted this fight. Frazier called that first win over Ali the greatest moment of my life and the best I ever fought ever. Personally, what he did in Manila topped that fight. The one he lost, the Thriller in Manila, the third fight. Yeah, I think that even though he lost it, I think that was just incredible, you know. But perhaps the most brutal heavyweight fight ever was Ali Frazier 3, the Thriller in Manila. Okay, and we're gonna have to stop it right there. Time to get up out of here. Just Do Boxing coming up at 4 p.m. But I appreciate everybody for coming through today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Got a big one Monday. Monday is I forgot the title already. I got it written down. Monday is one division dominance. Hagler, Pryor, and Calzaghe. Hagler and Pryor fought in one division their entire career and dominated it. Once Hagler got that title, he dominated it. Pryor dominated his entire career at junior welterweight. Except for the BJ, what was his name? BJ, somebody beat Pryor that one fight. But yeah, him and Hagler dominated middleweight and junior welterweight, and Joe Calzaghe dominated super middleweight, Mr. 46-0. He did have 2 fights at light heavyweight, but they were his last 2 fights. And so he dominated one division. 2 fights in a division is definitely not dominant. So one division dominance, money. Hagler, Pryor, and Calzaghe. Okay. Al Booker, Puro Sir, Define Arnie 1, Mike Rim, Mike Mazik, Just Do Boxing, Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody for stopping through today. Just Do Boxing is next in these YouTube streets. Okay? 4 p.m. I'm going to hit the like button on the way out, then hit Just Do Boxing's on the way in. Out, in, out, in. Okay? And I will be back Monday. Some more boxing history. But coming up on Just Do Boxing next, we have Boots moving to 150. Is Boots moving to 154? Hitchens coach hit with Mike. Bill searching for T.O. Sr. T.O. talking crazy, as usual. Coming up next on Just Do Boxing. All right. I'll be back Monday with one division dominance. Hagler, Pryor, Calzaghe. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. Everybody have a great weekend. Appreciate y'all.